Come on, you guys.
Hello and welcome back to Green Street Elites and another edition of the In Crowd. I'm going to bring my guest straight in. You may know him already. This is Kurtis, also known as the Ginger Andy Carroll. You probably know him. How are you, buddy? All right?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. It's always a pleasure chatting to fellow West Ham fans, regardless of where they're from. And what language they speak. I mean, I've even spoken to people from Ghana and Gambia and all sorts of places. So, yeah, it's been great. Good journey. And hopefully you're going to help me to move this journey on even further. So, to start off with, do you have your own website, channel or anything like that before we go on?
Not really. I can't get onto my Twitter. I do have an Instagram, Ginger Andy Carroll. You should be able to type that in and find me. If you type in Google the Ginger Andy Carroll, it might come up.
As it is on the screen there, yeah?
Yeah, well, if you type that into YouTube, Google, then you might be able to find me on different platforms. I think it's slightly different on different platforms. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have much else.
Okay.
A little YouTube channel from when I used to play football, and I'd have football clips and a couple of other little bits and pieces about myself in the last few years. But that's about it, mate.
Okay. And the first question I have for you really is, how did you find out that I'm looking for people to talk to? I mean, where did that information come from?
Group, a messenger group, West Ham group.
That
yourself is on. You put a post out, and I just basically see that, and I replied. And then
excellent.
We were chatting, and you invited me on.
Excellent.
Yeah,
so it's nice to know that social media works positively then, as well as all this negative shit that we keep seeing. I mean, there's plenty of that about. So West Ham. How long have you been following West Ham? And how did it start, really?
See, I'm not one of these glorious fans that will say, "Oh, I've been born into it." From birth, I'm a West Ham fan. I'm 33 now. I've probably been a fan for about, let's say, 26 years. First of all, I'm a massive football fan, more than anything.
Yeah.
I wasn't a glory hunter when I was younger. I used to watch, obviously, the England games. Didn't really have a team that I followed when I was really young. Started watching the World Cup '94, then Euro '96. Fell in love with Alan Shearer. With some family, who's that, basically, and they said Shearer. I was like, who's he play for? And they said Newcastle. Showed me the kit. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, that will support them. And for about 18 months to 2 years, I got given the Newcastle Brown Owl sponsored kit. And then one day, my mum turned around to me and said, by the way, the front wheel skid with my sister, along with being a Tottenham fan. And they turned around and said, well, you're never going to go to Newcastle and watch their games. We're not going to take you. It's a long way. And you won't be able to go up there until you're about 16, whenever you start earning your own dough.
Yeah.
So that got me thinking. And then they tried swaying me towards supporting Tottenham. And I just thought, nah. Because
even at that age, not happening.
even at the age of 7, I sort of knew everyone hated Spurs then. So I didn't want to be that kid. I mean, I'm ginger, so I got bullied at school. I didn't want to be bullied for being a Tottenham fan either. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, it just piles on, doesn't it, mate? Yeah.
That was really the first turning point for me. My brother, an old man of Chelsea. So obviously there's a big divide in the family there. My other sister got a soft spot for Liverpool, but she became a West Ham fan because of her fella, my brother-in-law.
Right.
And then it was really my uncle, who's no longer with us. He sort of showed me the claret and blue, the West Ham side of things, and he told me some stories. And then I just fell in love from then. And I was like, I'm going West Ham. And then my mum got married to my stepdad, and he was West Ham as well. And he took me to, from what I remember, my first game.
All right. Brilliant, brilliant. So, right, from about 6 then, yeah? 6, 7
That's
years
7,
old?
yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, doesn't matter when you come into the family, once you're in, it's really, really difficult to leave. I mean, I know plenty of people that have sort of like, they're not really football fans. And they see some of the videos from when I go to games, etc., and stuff, and like, they say to me, I'd like to be a part of that. I'd like to come with you and just be a part of that, because the atmosphere is just second to none, I believe. I think West Ham fans really know how to have a bit of fun. And yeah. So, when did you have your first kit then? When was your first West Ham shirt? Did you have a number on it?
Probably about, I think it took Mum a good few years to get me a kit in case I sort of flip-flapped and changed teams again. But the only reason why I changed in the first place is because she told me that I wasn't allowed to be a Newcastle fan and I wouldn't be able to go to the game.
Yeah.
So once I chose my next team, that was it. I was never going to change. And I think I probably got the 2000 kit, the old Dr. Martens, could be 2001 to be fair. The famous the famous Paulo Di Canio, maybe Frederick Canute.
Yeah.
I think that's like 2000, 2001. It was my first shirt that I remember having anyway.
Yeah. Always remember my first shirt. I mean, I was probably 7 or 8 when I got my first one. Now that would have been 69, 70, 1969 or 70. And back then, to go and buy a shirt, a West Ham shirt or a Chelsea shirt or a Tottenham, Man United or whatever, they were exceptionally expensive because there just wasn't availability of them. And I played for my school team and we wore blue. And we played against the team and for some reason they had claret and blue shirts. And I knew I wanted one. So at the end of the game, I went up to this guy and I said, it's customary to change shirts. So we changed shirts at the end of the game. And that's how I got my first ever claret and blue shirt. It was just a generic claret body, blue sleeves, long sleeve shirt. But I was wearing that around before many, many other kids in my year or in my area were wearing like team colours, unless it was like a rosette or a scarf or a bobble hat or something. So so favourite moment as a West Ham fan. Okay, let's keep the Europa Conference League final aside for the moment because that's the most recent memory that we all have. So let's. Other than that, before that final, what's your favourite West Ham memory?
There's probably a few. I'll start off with this one because this one's a bit. I don't think this has got enough warranty, to be fair, because I wasn't actually there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got to be the last game at Upton Park. I remember working nights for Thames Water. We just started our shift, got in our area, stepped the iPad up. We were working over in South London. And then we were just watching it on the game. Me and my pal, he's a massive West Ham fan. And we watched that. And I just remember sitting there thinking, I should be there. I've got to be there. And it sent me goosebumps and spine tingles just watching the game, and that's through a screen. Obviously, I can't speak to actually being at the game, but if I...
Well, I wasn't there either, but it's still one of my powerful memories, you know, because I watched it live on TV at the time, and it was an incredible experience. I mean, there were people there from, you know, supporters from other clubs. I was watching it in the pub, and it was a fantastic atmosphere even in the pub. Can imagine what it was like in the stadium, and to see the club, you know, sign out of our home with such a convincing. Well, I say convincing win. 2-1 isn't exactly. No, what was it? Yeah, 2-1, wasn't it? Not exactly convincing, but the performance was there. Sorry?
3-2.
3-2. 3-2. Yeah, not 2-1. 3-2. But the performance was there. You know, everybody stuck a shift in, and that. You know, you could see that from watching it on TV. And I agree. That's a great memory. Go on. Next one. Guys.
There's another one. I'd probably, in no particular order, I'd probably put this third, maybe, and I'll probably put the Upton Park one, the last game at Upton Park, second, due to the fact I wasn't there. But another game that I was at, I think it was, who was we playing? Bolton. Last game of the season. This is early 2000s. We had to win, and Leicester were playing Spurs, and Leicester had to beat Spurs. I think we had to win to stay up, and I can't remember why Leicester had to beat Spurs.
Stop them from qualifying for Champions League, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I think it was to stop them from qualifying fourth.
Yeah. So I was at that game, at the West Ham Bolton game, last game of the season. One of my first ones, I think that was with my stepdads. And that was just a buzz. Obviously, now a blighting moment, thinking that Tottenham could go and get some sort of success. I know it's not winning a trophy, but they would have had something to hold over us. We were in Champions League and we were battling relegation, blah, blah, blah. That would have been devastating if we got relegated and they got Champions League. So, for me, getting that feeling, that buzz when we won the game, and I think we was all in the stands trying to receive the information from the other game, and then it came through that I think they announced it over the tannoy actually that the scores that Leicester had beaten them. I think we'd won 2-1, and they might have lost 2-1, and then I think Upton Park just erupted with like a massive cheer, because obviously the Spuds didn't get their success that they prematurely celebrated like they always do.
Yeah, they all went very Spursy.
That's it, yeah.
Love it. And number one? Go on, what's your number one then? Got to be Europa, isn't it? Europa Conference League.
Yeah, if we're not doing that though.
Right, go
on. What's my number one? Probably the League Cup against Millwall. I was also there for that game, and that was an absolute buzz. I'll put it out there. Yes, I did. I was one of those idiots that went on the pitch, just caught up in the total euphoria of emotion of what that game done to us. I got there late because we could only get so far because obviously incidences outside the station and outside the ground before the game. So there was no trains going into the floor. So I think I've got as far as West Ham, and I had to walk. And I remember seeing the chopper in the sky, and there was West Ham for miles, just walking from West Ham. So we walked to Upton Park. By the time I got in round about the 18th, 20th minute. By the time I took my seat, we was already obviously 1-0 down at that point. The mood was flat. The Millwall lot were giving it as usual. I was sitting in the Bobby Moore lower, and I just remember sitting there thinking, this is packed. There's people standing in the aisles. There were people obviously that had snuck in without a ticket just to go to this game.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
as the game went on, I think it was like the 86th minute, the 88th minute, I think we might have snatched an equaliser. And up until then, it was squeaky bum time for us. And I think that we were worried that we were going to be done by our biggest rivals. They were obviously going to pick off on and off the pitch. There was fighting in the stands in the far corner that we could see. They tried getting into the West Ham end, goading us, as you would with football banter and the biggest rivalry like that. And then we scored just before the 90th minute mark, and the place just erupted. And I remember sitting there feeling like this is a buzz. Everyone, obviously, there was so many more people that should have been in the Baltimore lower at that time, and it just, it was just amazing, that feeling. And then obviously we go to extra time, because back then you had extra time and penalties, the proper way of doing things. I don't like the new system of skipping the 30 minutes of extra time and going straight to a penalty shootout. There are players that get paid a significant amount. I think they've got another 30 minutes in them, and you've got full squads, and you've got 5 subs to use. So why get rid of a 30-minute extra time period and just go straight to penalties? So that's another story.
Yeah.
We get to
I mean,
extra
they
time,
can literally make, 7 subs now, isn't it?
something stupid like that, yeah. Something stupid.
Ridiculous. I mean, so
Every
why would you get rid of that? It worked perfectly well. Every league adopted it, every single league. Now, I understand what you're saying. That's a travesty, actually, to be fair. And I used to like the golden goal and all of that as well. I thought that was quite an exciting part of the game as well.
Well, you knew that you couldn't concede, and you had to be defensive and then be offensive, but obviously be aware.
That's it. But that's when you wanted. That's when you wanted to be playing Moyes ball. In the golden goal game, that and Sam Allardyce's style of football, that worked perfectly for that style of football.
It was more tactical back then, because obviously you knew that you couldn't give up a goal. Whereas when it changed from golden goal, I mean, a lot of the youngsters nowadays won't even know what we're talking about. The golden goal was basically the first team that scores goes through, and that's it. The first goal in extra time in that 30-minute period, that's it. You go through. There's no trying to get back into it. You concede in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was golden goal and then penalties if it didn't come to it.
That's it. Yeah.
Golden goal and then penalties. Yeah, I mean that worked. That worked really well. In fact, there was I can't even remember what year it was. It was in the 90s somewhere when the World Cup was doing the golden goal and stuff.
I remember watching it in the 90s back then.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. The game hasn't improved, I don't think, from back then. Like the format of the game hasn't improved, I don't think. I think maybe a lot of the players are a lot more tactically astute these days, but you've only got to tap them on the shoulder and they're over holding their ankles. It's tough to watch football these days.
They don't want to ruin their hair and makeup.
Yeah.
or they do about 30 rolls to deceive the referee. And for me, that's a form of cheating. If you're going to go down and try and win something to deceive a referee, that's a form of cheating. And that hasn't really been nullified and kicked out of the game, which any sort of cheating should be eradicated from the game immediately. And that's another thing that sort of disappointed our beloved sport.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. And
so going back to you as a West Ham fan, favourite player of your lifetime? I mean, someone that you've watched play.
I mean, just in the David Sullivan era, you could pick 1,000 players, and that's only in the last 13 years. You know what I mean? All these strikers for a start that don't get Jonathan Calleri, one of them. You know what I mean? So you could just say that's a tough one. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna give you a couple that I've
Okay.
seen live, and that's
Yeah.
obviously the Italian stallion, Paolo Di Canio. He was just such a joy to watch.
Hmm.
The magician on the ball.
Yeah.
Um, it was
Yeah.
just so exciting to watch, and I'll never ever forget the feeling that he gave us as West Ham fans, me personally, when he got that ball and when he was on his game. Um,
Yeah.
and to be honest, I can sort of hand on heart say this, that we haven't had a player like him since. I know we've had
No, we
different
haven't.
types of exceptional talents since him, but we've never had a striker like him.
No, we haven't. No. I mean,
He,
literally, the guy was a wizard. Like you said, he was a magician. He was incredible. And I'm sorry to say, I never actually got to see him live because from 1986 until just after the lockdown period, I never went to any games. I had family life and everything else going on, and I never actually got to any games during. Well, my first game was literally 2021 from
really,
1986, 87. So yeah, I was unable to enjoy those moments myself, but you know, I saw plenty of them on TV, and you know, you get to watch the videos on YouTube and stuff. But there's nothing like watching someone like that in the flesh. You know.
no, of course, no. But, fair play to you though. Obviously, you had stuff that was more important. We hear it more and more now. There are
Yeah,
things in life that you do.
unfortunately, the financial side of things was
Yeah,
the major part of it, you know. And
yeah,
obviously, you know, like I married a woman that wasn't interested in football in the slightest, didn't understand my interest in it, and wasn't happy for me to sort of spend my hard earned going pissing it up with my mates and coming
mm,
back saying, I don't know, I'll have to watch Match of the Day to tell you what happened.
no, yeah, of
You
course.
know, you know, she wasn't happy with that.
It's a shame if you got
But there
someone
you go.
if you got someone that likes football, you could have bribed her and took her with you.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, another
Yeah.
player.
So Paolo Di Canio. Who else then? Yeah, go on.
I know this one's going to be everyone's going to be like, ooh, because of how he left. But you can't deny it.
Dimitri.
Yeah,
Dimitri Payet.
he was a midfield maestro in a
It's a
different.
very common. That's a very common lead into that. You know, I know it's a little bit controversial because of the way he left. Blah blah blah. But Dimitri. Well, believe me when I say that I don't care how anybody left. It's the fact that they are no longer a West Ham fan, a player, means that I am no longer a fan of theirs. I might not like them, I might not dislike them. It doesn't matter to me. They're no longer a West Ham player. So goodbye. Thank you for your service.
Yeah.
Take care. See you again. You know. And you know, one of my favourite players from history is still Paul Ince. I'm sorry, but it is.
Mm,
And you know, people would skin me alive for saying that. But
mm.
you know, it's a fact of life is that the guy was fucking incredible with the ball at his feet.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely
yeah, yeah.
brilliant. So, you know,
I mean, you can't
so
deny
yeah,
someone.
Dimitri Payet, I mean, you must have seen him in the flesh too.
Yes, I did. I see some cracking goals that he scored as well.
Hmm.
One at the top of my head, I saw for the Palace goal, the free kick that gets played on loads of West Ham clips and
Yeah,
videos.
that gets played on
Of,
lots of video reels
yeah,
from
yeah,
Premier
it,
League era, you know, and all them.
that's what
They all pop that one in there because that's exceptionally good talent, really good
the
technique.
Blackburn goal when he takes it from the halfway line and dribbles down the left and cuts inside, beats to cut the man, hits it from the outside of the box to the near post.
Yep,
That was another one.
yeah,
And the Middlesbrough goal where he takes a switch ball plucks it out of the air on the left-hand side, drives down the left, cuts inside the left-hand side of the box, fakes a shot about 3-4 times, puts everyone on their arse, puts the keeper on their arse, and then just rolls it in the far corner. There was another good goal. Good goal that I've seen. I think they're the only.
Am I right in believing that he took a free kick against Chelsea? I think it was Chelsea, and hit the woodwork, and it bounced off, hit the goalkeeper, and went out for a corner or something. But they were saying that from the angle that he was at, he had no right to hit the woodwork and stuff. I can't remember who it was against. I'm pretty sure it was Chelsea. Could have been Man United actually, but I just remember he took a free kick. Go on.
Well, that's what makes that Crystal Palace free kick goal so special, because he has no right to push it on the keeper's side with 7 players in the wall just outside the box, getting the dip right up and over, and he's gone for the far corner where the keeper is standing, and the keeper doesn't even move.
I know.
Poor Wayne Hennessy, he's been under. He's been in between sticks for a good few goal of the season contenders. He was the goalkeeper for Giroud's back heel flick, the little scorpion kick. He was in goal for Andy Carroll over a kick. He was in goal for Dimitri Payet's free kick, and that free kick, I watch it over and over, and I still think, how the fuck have you managed to do that? You push it right into the keeper's hand.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
And he's watched it, but if you watch it from as soon as it leaves his foot and you get behind that ball, you get the camera angle behind that ball, it looks like it's going about 3 metres wide, and then it comes up,
just
dips
whips
down,
in.
round, in between
Unbelievable.
Incredible.
And I think we're very lucky now in the fact that we've got James Ward-Prowse that is a bit of a specialist. Okay, we haven't really sort of seen the benefits of that as yet, but it's coming. Trust me, it's coming.
100%.
And even Pep Guardiola says, look, he's probably the best dead ball specialist in the world right now. When Pep Guardiola says something like that, you listen generally, It's then Dimitri and Paolo.
Yeah, I've got some other rogue ones as well.
Let me ask you a question then. What did you think of Hayden Mullins?
Oh, I loved him. I think he was solid.
Me too.
I love Mullins. Obviously,
I always likened him to Paul Scholes.
Yeah, definitely.
To me, he was a much more talented Paul Scholes.
He was the man that, when I see him on the team sheet and I see him sitting in the CDM, or back then you didn't have all these complicated positions as we do now, but he was the man that would sit in front of the back four and just
keeping out Mascherano.
What's that, sorry?
Keeping out Mascherano.
Yes. And I thought he was quality. Like the days of who was behind him, Sebastian Schemmel, Fox, and then you had Mullins, and I was like, they wasn't the biggest talent. Obviously, we wasn't competing for the biggest players back then. We were flirting with relegation quite a bit, up and down like a yo-yo in the league. And I thought for the talent that we had, he does go under the radar a bit, because I thought Mullins was mustard.
Yeah. I thought he was too. Yeah. Favourite manager in your life as a fan? Or
one that I personally liked,
or
one
manager you respect the most? Sorry?
I was going to say that. Do you want me to pick one for the football club, or do you want me to pick one of my personal favourites?
Your personal favourite. It's about you, mate. It's about you.
I think I've got a couple. I'm just going to say 3 because obviously David Moyes for what he's done. Whether you love him or hate him, whether you think what you think nowadays,
Yeah.
he's still one of our
Equal
first
measures, mate.
in God knows how long. We'll get that one out
Yeah.
there straight away. But we'll go for another one that I don't really understand too much why the fans are 50-50 and hate and love. I love Harry Redknapp
Yeah,
because he
me
was one
too.
of the first managers that I was coming in to watch games live to.
Yeah.
And I just loved watching him on Match of the Day and post-match interviews and build-ups to it. And the players that he got and brought through, and obviously your Joe Coles, your Lampards, your Rios, he was there. He was the head honcho for those sort of players. I mean, so him, and
Yeah.
I would also say Pards, because obviously,
Sorry?
although we had
Pardew,
that
did you
massive
say?
upset, he got us to that FA Cup final, and he gave
Yeah,
us a
he
dream,
did.
and we were literally a couple of minutes away from a massive dream. So I respect
Yeah.
obviously Pards for what he gave us then, although we was unlucky, and
Yeah.
obviously Redknapp
Mm.
and Moy for the latest one as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got to respect him, regardless of what you think. You've got to respect him. He's come in.
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, I loved Harry Redknapp myself. I mean, like I used to like that little bit of naughtiness that ran through him. You know, back at that time when he was the manager of this club, that little bit of naughtiness ran not literally throughout the entire club, but throughout the playing and coaching staff. Certainly, there was that little streak of naughtiness in every one of them, and it kind of worked. You know, I mean, you had John Moncur back then. He was stripping off and running down King's Road and stupid stuff like that. You know, I mean, I'm not. Don't quote me on that. That might not actually have happened, but you know, stories of him getting his kit off for certain.
Yeah.
But you know, and yeah, Harry. I remember one time watching Big Match. I think it was back on ITV back in the day. And as they were walking down the tunnel for half time, Harry Redknapp pinched one of his players' arses. I can't remember who it was, but he pinched him on the arse, and he's like, the players turned round, and like they started having a discussion and a little like laugh and a joke going down the tunnel. So that was the kind of thing I liked about Harry Redknapp. He was one of us. He was just an average guy. I think with Alan Pardew, I think he done really exceptional job for us, but I think he was always going to be under pressure because he wasn't that big name that a lot of the fans were crying out for at the time. And he wasn't that big name. He was just one of your middle of the road type managers, you know, blah, 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 blah. Well, we went for that big name manager in Pellegrini, and that failed miserably. Yep. So then we went back to our middle of the road David Moyes, and he's won us a trophy. He's got us in a semi-final the year before of the Europa League, and we're back in the Europa League again this year. Yeah, okay, we've suffered one defeat this year so far, but we're in a much harder competition than we were last year. But having said that, we went through that competition last year unbeaten. Nobody else has done that yet. You know, so I agree with you. David Moyes has to be given credit where credit's due. You know, I love him and hate him in equal measure. You know, I think every time we get 3 points or further on in a cup competition or something, you know, he's the Moyes hire, and you know, if we lose the 3 points and we don't even turn up for the game, you know, it's all down to him, and you know, I want him gone, and you know, I'm a little bit like that, but I don't always voice my opinion, but that always runs through your head, you know. So I love him and hate him in equal measure, you know. But as you said, the man rightfully has a place in West Ham folklore now. you know,
Oh,
rightfully, he's earned that.
Can't take away from him.
Yeah, yeah. Is there a player that played for us that you really, really wish had never pulled on the claret and blue shirt?
Right, how long have we got? Like I said,
one player that you really would like to remove from West Ham history.
I mean, the ones I was going to say didn't really get many chances anyway. And I mentioned one of them earlier, under David Sullivan's 50,000 strikers he signed in 13 years.
Caleri.
Yeah, Clary, Simeone Zaza, all them sort of players, but they wasn't given enough time to even consider them. Who can I say? I know there's a couple somewhere. I wasn't prepared for this sort of question. That's a good question.
It's a real tough one, isn't it? To be fair.
Yeah, because you've got so many years to go back on. So many players to sort of.
I mean, I've asked this question a few times to other people, and the answers have been varied. To be fair, some of them have named one or two. Some of them have refused to name them because whoever pulls on a claret and blue shirt, in my opinion, deserves, my support. I've had that answer before. So, nothing will surprise me. I'm just kind of giving you sort of like something to chew on, if you like, because if you want to name anybody, then you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. It's not, imperative.
Yeah, it's an hard one. And I understand that answer, actually. Obviously, whoever puts on the claret and blue shirt, if I was going to answer it, it would be purely for their time, football ability-wise, at the club. Nothing personal. It wouldn't be for the fact that I never supported them or didn't want to support them or wanted them to play.
Just that they weren't good enough for the club, in your opinion.
Yeah. One that sticks out for me, I'm just going to... It's the only one that I can think of off the top of my head without actually deeply thinking about it. Nordwhite. He frustrated me. Nordwhite.
Oh, right. Yes.
He frustrated me.
And yet he was brilliant on FIFA.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
I answer that even though I don't... It's not like I wish that he'd never put on a claret and blue shirt. I'm sort of going to change your question. But it's more for the fact that...
That's fine.
He didn't... We know there was a player there, and he just didn't live up to expectation, and he was just frustrating. So for that reason, I would say him. Other than that,
See, I put Philippe Anderson into that category.
Yeah,
fantastic player, but just seemed to be on a part-time clock. He frustrated the life out of me. Fantastic player when he really put his mind to it. I thought he was going to be the next Dimitri Payet. I really did.
Yeah.
And then he turned out actually to be nothing like him, with no desire to put in work and show some kind of work rate. And he frustrated the life out of me. And yet, I believe it was Anton from West Ham Network that said in training up in Scotland, because Anton went and watched them train pre-season, that he was one of the better players on the training pitch.
Just couldn't produce on the pitch.
Just didn't do it on the day, no.
Yeah.
No, and then, there are other players that don't turn up for training, and yet you put them on the pitch with, 10 other guys, facing 11 other guys, and they are you
I
know,
can think of one player.
Picasso, P- Carlos Tevez.
Yes, yes. So many stories
I
that he
mean,
would
the
turn up
stories that
to.
you hear about that
Yeah,
guy
yeah.
are, you know, I mean, we've all heard probably the same stories, to be fair.
Mm.
But yeah. Okay, moving on. Moving on. Favourite game that you've been to? I think we might have covered that actually already.
Yeah, it'll probably be. I think you said it as like the favourite memory or the best memory, and it was.
Yeah,
I named three. One of them that I hadn't been to, and two games that I was there for. But I
yeah,
think purely for the fact that I was there, I think the Millwall 3-1, drawing after 90 minutes and then scoring two goals in the extra time, and
yeah.
actually being pushed over the advertising board by security, by the stewards, because at one point I was standing right next to the corner flag, videoing Zavon Hines' penalty. I know it was Ginger Andy Carroll, sorry. Stanislas's penalty, and I was standing by the corner flag at that end, the Bobby end, where it meets the chicken one. And out of nowhere, in my blind side, some steward come over and pushed me just before he took the penalty. So I didn't have it on camera or nothing, and I'd gone over the advertising
Oh,
board. But yeah, I think that game, for the ups and downs, for what had happened before the game and having to walk there
yeah.
and getting in late and being 1-0 down, seeing
Mm,
your arch rivals take the piss out of you basically, and you just thinking,
yeah.
like, we can't let these anyone but these can't beat us. And then
Mm,
obviously getting that late equaliser, taking it to an extra 30
extra
minutes
time.
guaranteed of football where anything can happen. And then we go on and win the game 3-1. So I think for personal preference of actually being there, I think that's mine.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. You've been to away games, I take it, yeah?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question then is favourite away stadium that you've been to? Away ground.
Hmm. Gonna say it's got to be Old Trafford. It's got to be. That's probably
Intimidating there, isn't it?
yes. And obviously the long drive up and the long journey back if you've lost. And but do you know what? I had a great day out. It was I believe we had them away in October in 2008 in the league. We drew
Yeah.
1-1, and then the following Thursday, 4 days later, 3 days later, whatever, 4 days later, whenever it was, we played them away in the League Cup, I think it was, and we
Yeah.
got battered
Yeah.
4-1.
Four
When
one.
Dimtar
Yeah.
Berbatov done a pirouette on the bar line, beat James Collins. I still don't know how he done it. Clipped it in for Ronaldo to score a header.
Hmm.
But I'll tell you what, Budge, we were sitting in that end, obviously we were up in the gods, right near the home fans, giving it really good for us. But we were the loudest lot in there throughout the whole game, even being 4-1 down, we were still louder. And you think Old Trafford's 78,000 capacity stadium, and there was
Yeah.
probably, 7,000 of us, and we were still the loudest in there after losing, or
But that's
even like
West Ham
almost
faithful for you,
4-2.
though, isn't it, mate? You know?
That's it, yeah. That's
You
it.
know,
And that's what
no
we're
matter
feeling
where
now.
they go, they're always the loudest in the stadium. I love that
Yeah.
about the West Ham fans, the away travelling fans, you know. I've been very fortunate. I mean, as I said, I stopped going to games sort of mid to late 80s, but up until then, I was very fortunate to go to quite a few of the stadiums, and Old Trafford being one of them, which was brilliant,
Mm.
and St James's Park is another one, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But I recently went to the 3-1 win over at Brighton recently,
Oh, yeah.
down at the Amex,
Yeah.
and I have to be honest with you, the atmosphere in there, in the West Ham end, was absolutely incredible. I mean, we kept the Brighton fans quiet throughout the whole game, you know, and the fact that we won it 3-1 and they got a real late goal to
Mm.
get their goal, they were quiet, but the stadium weren't. The stadium was rocking. It was brilliant. Great
Well,
atmosphere.
that had to be special because we hadn't won there in 7 years, 6 years or whatever
I
it
know,
was.
yeah. We'd never beaten them in the Premier League
That's it, yeah, away,
up
yeah.
until that point. 13 games it took us to beat them.
Yeah,
So,
incredible, isn't it?
yeah, and I happened to have been granted a ticket. Well, I say granted, I got offered a ticket for it from a friend of mine, and I was very lucky to go. Really lucky. I mean, I only live 25 miles up the road from the stadium. So I live by Gatwick, so it was really easy for me to get to. Real good, real good. Okay, so Old Trafford, yeah, love that stadium. Love it.
And that was the last time I'd been away again because at that point, I don't know how, well, I'll tell you the story anyway, but for some reason I got put on the hooligan database and I had a plainclothes football intelligence officer come up to me after being pulled up by a couple of mate coppers. Me and my pals obviously sitting up in the God's right bed right next to the home fans. We've come down after, we're singing and chanting like West Ham do, win, lose or draw. And we've sort of like talking amongst ourselves and we've just followed like this crowd. And I don't know what it is because I haven't been back to Old Trafford to actually see how the setup is. When you get to the
Yeah,
bottom, like, sort of like Upton Park when they open the big floodgates for everyone to leave. We've just come out of these doors, and I remember seeing stewards, in obviously orange, and then the security in yellow, bit of police up by near the coach block, and we've come out, and there was no claret and blue around us, and we're looking at each other like, what the fuck's just happened? Where's all the West Ham lot? And
oh,
what had happened is we'd come out with the Manchester lot somehow, and
oh,
we're wearing claret and blue, and we're in the middle of 1,000 United fans. And I just said to him, Irons? And he was like, go on in. So we just took it in turns, shouting Irons, getting louder and louder. And then on my third one, I'm literally belting it from the bottom of my heart, bottom of my lungs. And out of nowhere, little Jimmy Crankin in a fancy dress outfit come up behind me, grabbed my arms, and I turned around, meant to give him one. And he was only a couple. And I was like, what are you doing? And then he started swearing at me. He's like, we fucking hate you, Southern Tower, you're going to get yourself beat up. And I'm like, what are you doing talking to me like that for? I said, you've got some authority. You can't be talking to me like that. And then, yeah, we've had a massive Barney. And then some other geezer came over on his own. Big tall geezer, plain clothes, and he went, yeah, I'll do this. And the cop looked at him and said, who the fuck are you, sort of thing? And he pulled out his wallet bag and he's like, I'm a football intelligence officer. I'll deal with this. And I jog on. And then he's come up to me and said, you got a ticket? I said, well, you're in one of the most secure stadiums in the country. You can't get in without a ticket. But I didn't want to show him it because I had my pal's one. He had an under 16 ticket. So obviously, I was a little bit, I think I was about 18 at the time. So I was like, oh shit, I'm going to get done for having
right,
a different ticket. But he
yeah.
didn't care anyway. Showed him the ticket. He said, you got my deal now. I didn't want to give him any sort of personal information. And I said, no, I don't have nothing. He said, anything with your name on it. So I was like, just to get him back, I'll give him the national insurance card. It's got my name on it. It doesn't hold any more information on it, really. So he took it. He took a picture of it. And I was like, what are you doing? He's like, just wait a minute, please. So I was just dealing with something. And then he turned around, mug shot, gave him my card back. I was like, so you're going to explain what's happened then? And he went, just hold the card up to your face. And then as soon as I've done that, another mug shot. He goes, right, I'm a football intelligence officer. I'll follow West Ham away games. And I'm just putting you on the database. And I was like, well, what database is this? He went, the football hooligan database. So every time you go home and away with West Ham, just behave yourself. And I was like, mate, all I've done was come out and sing Irons. Not done anything.
Come out the wrong entrance by accident. Not
Yeah,
wrong
and
exit,
that's it.
yeah.
And then obviously, 11 months later, I go West Ham Millwall.
Good for you, son. Good for you. I'm intrigued. Ginger Andy Carroll. How did that come about?
It all started when we moved to the London Stadium,
Yep.
and the West Ham fan TV lot. I used to watch a few of their bits. I see them. I think it was the last year at Upton Park they started doing that filming. Maybe the year before that. They were just
Yeah.
getting their channel well known. Great boys over there, respect them massively. And I started seeing their stuff online on YouTube. And then I used to go there to games, and I used to just sit in and around them, have a chat with them off camera.
Yeah.
And I think it was Scott. And he turned around to me and said, like, "Oh, you should come on camera. You should give your view." And it took me a good few games after going there and speaking to him off camera for me to actually build up the courage to go on camera and speak. And then from then on,
Yeah.
I started becoming a regular every time I went to the game. And then one year they turned around and said, "Are you coming to our trials?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And they said, "Well, we're going to start up a football team." Bearing in mind, from being on that channel, having long ginger hair, us having Andy Carroll, everyone referred to me as Andy Carroll or the ginger version of Andy Carroll in the comments. So that sort of, the more and more that got splattered around, the more that stuck. So then I went to this trial that West Ham Fan TV were doing for Thames Ironworks Community Football Club. It was a YouTube-based team, so they'd film all their games and put them online. So I went there, signed up for them, and then I thought, you know what, as people are going to get to know me through doing West Ham Fan TV fan cams, and then obviously playing football in the YouTube sort of football matches, I'll start making social media, because I only had Facebook back then. So I made up a Twitter, then eventually made up an Instagram, then made up a little mess around YouTube channel for any sort of clips and information that I could put out. And I called it the Ginger Andy Carroll, or Ginger Andy Carroll. And I thought, if that name's going to stick with me, I might as well adopt that name so everyone knows who I am. So that's really how the Ginger Andy Carroll name come about. And obviously, he's no longer with us. I've no longer got my foxtail of the hair. And I'll just quickly explain that. Obviously, we all know about Isla Caton. When I found out about her, God rest her soul, I decided to do a charity shave-off, basically, and raise money for that poor little girl. And we used to go, nice. A big group of us, West Ham and Millwall, teaming up to make Team South. And we were basically the charity team that used to travel up and down the country and go to Newcastle and Sunderland to play the Geordies and the Mackens in the annual games. And after one of our games in Essex, we sat down after in the clubhouse, and I got my hair shaved off live on social media.
Excellent. I really applaud that. I mean, I've been communicating with Isla's mum, Nicola, recently, and she's agreed to come on and have a chat with me at some point. She's not ready yet, which is understandable, but she's agreed to come on and chat with me. And you know, I sent her a little video of stuff that I'd put together in anticipation of when she does want to come on and that, and she's approved the little video that I sent her, which is really nice. That all happened today, actually. So but yeah, so that's another future chat that I'll have with Nicola. So you know, I followed the Isla story as intently as anyone else did. You know, we were all moved and touched by it, everybody. Bless her. God rest her soul, as you say. Okay, moving on to happier things, let's say. When you first went to West Ham as a independent young adult, let's say, do you remember the first game you went to without any adult supervision? Like the first game you went to on your own, as it were, or with your pals?
To be honest, I was probably of a legal age to drink. I probably got absolutely plastered and don't really remember it as much, because it was back then when you're young and boisterous. You go there with your pals, you go there, meet up with your pals. You have a couple of sherbets and
so where did you go in? Like, which pub did you go into before a game?
it varied. If you can't get in the bowling tavern, because obviously that was another good one. But I did like going on my own. I used to go with a couple. I remember going in a central. That was with my stepdad. He took me in a central. But then I used to go in. Went in the Victor Tavern a couple of times in Glasgow. Where else did I go? Other than the bowling tavern.
Did you ever get in the Queen's?
Yeah, I started going in the Queen's a little bit after. But I think the earlier days,
that was more of an overspill from the bowling anyway, wasn't it, really, to be fair?
Yeah.
I mean, it had its regulars. It did have its regulars. And there was a lovely little crowd of lads that used to get up the top end of the bar. They were always in there every week.
When I was running late, then obviously I wouldn't venture out. I know it's only Plato, it's only one stop away on the district line. But I would generally head straight to Upton Park, walk down Green Street, probably stop at Ken's for something if it wasn't too busy, or walk round to Nathan's and just quickly get a bite to eat. Obviously, soak up the alcohol that we're going to consume, and then we'd probably head into the Queen's because it was just easier.
Yeah,
and that was a little bit
a lot easier to get into and all, wasn't it?
Yeah, and you had like the Harris in around the side of it. So obviously, that was their little garden bit, if you like.
So what about now? Where do you go now? When you go to the stadium?
There's a few. I mean, it's not the same, is it? But
no.
I think my preferred is the Apartment, because that was
Carpenters,
Yeah, the Carpenters Arms,
Yeah, I love it in there. I go in there every time I come up. I love it.
You have to, because it's the only pub that resonates as close to your bowlings or your Queens, where it feels like it's spitting sawdust sort of pub. It's old school, and you know it's full of West Ham. You go to the ones around Stratford, all they are bars or restaurants. Like you've got the Carroll, you've got the Bat and Ball. Bat and Ball is normally lively for after a game. If you have a 3 o'clock kickoff or 4:30 on Sunday, you go there for after and have a night out in Stratford. But other than that,
I found the Bat and Ball to be a little bit formal, really.
Yeah.
Before the game, anyway, at least. It's a little bit on the formal side, and that's not what I'm about on game day. You know, game day, I want to get down and dirty, as it were. You know, I want to get smashed, and of course I want to remember the game, but it doesn't matter if I don't. You know, as long as I've seen all my pals, had a few beers, and I've been to see the mighty Claret and Blues. I just. That's what it's all about to me. A game day is an experience the whole day.
Yeah.
And, during last week when we played Olympiacos at home, I took my friend's son with me. I managed to get an under-18s ticket, and he's just 18, so he's still legally allowed to use the ticket. So I had the two tickets next to each other, and I mean, we were right up in row 63 or 63 of the Bobby Moore Upper, and but I took him to the Carpenters because he is 18 and he has got ID. He got into the pub, and and he is a West Ham fan, but he's never been. And my pal, his dad, passed away earlier this year, and I made a promise to him that I would take his son to a game. So he came with me to the Olympiacos game, and he said to me, he goes, "I don't care if I never go to another game, I'm going back to that pub."
Fair play to you.
But it's all part of the game day experience, and the DJ in there, Paul, he's brilliant. He knows everybody, and everybody knows him. And like, there's a mixture of fans in there, a lot of the old school boys get in there, and girls, and a lot of the more recently acquired fans get in there as well, and it's just a great atmosphere. I love it in there, Occasionally go to the Golden
Golden
Fleece
Grove.
Grove, Golden
Yeah.
Grove. Yeah, I occasionally go there because it's a Weatherspoons. It's cheap, you
With the
know.
spoons,
Get
yeah.
more beer for your money. It's
Yeah, I
fantastic.
normally go
We'll have
there.
to hook up one time at a game, you know. Well,
Yeah,
we've got each other's numbers now anyway, so we can do that. That's all good.
yeah. I think the
We'll hook up
spoons
and
for
have a
me in
beer.
Golden Grove is probably a pre-match. I'll probably go up there first because I know it's.
Hmm.
I'd rather go into the Carpenters after a game, especially if we win.
Yeah,
It's quality. I think two of the games that
yeah,
I
you
went to
can't
when
beat
we
it.
beat Chelsea and we beat Spurs, I went into the Carpenters after, and
I
they're
was in
probably the
there
best
after the
ones over
Chelsea
there.
game myself.
Yeah, yeah, we was in the back bit. We arrived a little bit later.
Oh
Everywhere
right,
else was
yeah,
full, and they opened up
in
that
the
little garage section, if you like.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I always go. Well, everyone has to go in through that way, don't they? You know, I
Yeah,
always make my way round to where the DJ is because like all the guys and that I drink with, they're all like, well, they call themselves the dartboard corner. You know, so I just make my way around there, and yeah, it's great. I love it in there. Yeah, I mean, I was at the Chelsea game. I left the game about 2 minutes before the actual final whistle and bumped into Stuart Slater, Frank McAvenny, and Mark Ward outside.
oh yeah.
So I had a little discussion chat with them. Had a photograph taken with them. I've got it here somewhere. I'll see if I can show it to you. Where are we? Here, there.
Is that your picture on WhatsApp?
Oh yeah, yes it is.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that's all right, and I don't need to upload it. Yeah, yeah. No, and I've actually since I've been going to the games and getting a lot more involved with the YouTube community. I mean, I started off just by being a viewer, and you know, remember Peach, obviously. He
Yeah.
introduced me to the camera side of stuff, and it just encouraged me to do more, you know, and encouraged me to start this channel up. And yeah, I mean, ever since then, I've sort of bumped into quite a few people, you know, I've met quite a few people, made lots of friends, including Craig Forrest, our old goalkeeper. I've been chatting with him for a couple of years now, you know, messaging him and that. Yeah, it's been really good. So, and get to meet guys like yourself, and you get to tell your story a bit, and yeah, it's great. I love it. It's all good stuff. Anyway, I'm going to edit some of this bullshit out anyway, but so is there anything you want to talk about? I mean, this is your forum, so if there's anything you want to say.
I don't think there's too much that I probably deem as relevant. I was just going to go with the flow and just answer
All right,
anything
mate.
that you said,
I'll
really.
tell you what then, I will ask you one more question then, all right? Because
Yeah.
as I said, I can edit some of this bollocks out. Okay, so my final question to you then is, how did you feel on the final whistle in Prague last season?
Um,
How did
um,
you feel inside?
well, it was mad because I was at the London Stadium at the Orbit, at the fan zone.
Yeah,
I was unfortunate to go out to Prague. My plan was just to go out to Prague without a ticket, just to be in the fan zone over in by the Slavia or Sparta Prague Stadium, whatever
yeah,
Prague Stadium wasn't showing the game. Um, and then that all fell through, and the ticket prices sort of rocketed. And I was like, oh, it's £500-600 for a ticket.
I
I
know,
wasn't
ridiculous.
in a financial stable to waste. I say waste, but it's not a waste because we end up going. I mean,
No,
I'm gutted that I never went.
but
But
you didn't
I had
have the
other
funds
things to.
available. Yeah,
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I had other things to pay out for back then. Um,
Yeah, we all did,
But
mate.
I ended up going to fan zone with a few of my pals. I think there was about 7 or 8 of us. Went to, I think that was run by Andy Swallow. I think he set it up, and a few others set it up. We were sitting, where was we sitting? I think it's a supporters club, they call it now. We go under the coach entrance,
Yeah,
and then you had the option. I think the family section was upstairs as well. You could have a rooftop terrace, and it was quite weird because we knew it was West Ham everywhere. And when that second goal went in, we heard a massive cheer behind us inside. So
right.
everyone, we were all looking at the big screen and we're like, they've got the ball. What are you cheering about? Then we're looking around at them and they're coming out on the balcony. Oh, we fucking won. Blah, 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 blah. And we're all looking at them going, are you all right? You had a couple of too many. And then obviously we pick the ball up in the middle of the park, and the Quetta plays a lovely ball to fire in, and we're like, well, we must score here because we've heard them lot. And then
Yeah,
the jubilation. I think it was good and it was bad, that experience. The only bad thing was you had to wait and queue up for the beer. So by the time you queue up and you finish your beer and you go and get another one, it was just easier if a couple of your mates came with you and you all got jugs, £24 a jug. You get 4.5, 5 pints out of it.
yeah.
And wasted £25 on the last jug, got halfway through it, and then obviously the final whistle or Bowen saw the goal, and that jug just went straight up in the air. Didn't care about the money. The beer went over everyone, and I got covered in other people's beer, and it was just. I don't think it sunk in, but the
No.
feeling and the realisation of it straight away, like we've done it, but it hadn't sunk in yet, and that feeling I've never ever had in my life before, because obviously we've not won a massive major trophy. I know everyone dismisses the Intertoto Cup, which is probably, it was, bearing in mind it was a European Cup. It was there before UEFA came into it, or before it was called UEFA Cup. So for me,
Yeah.
I think that's a major trophy. It's a European Cup, but everyone dismisses it.
Yeah.
And everyone calls this one.
Well, it's actually part of the Europa Conference League now, isn't it? It's been sort of swallowed up into that with 2 or 3 other smaller competitions, I think, and they kind of amalgamated 3 or 4 competitions to create this Europa Conference League, which is a much better competition than any of the others were individually. You know, but yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I watched it over at my local. I wasn't able to get out to watch it. I was working late that day. So I watched it in my local. There's only 3 or 4 West Ham fans that get in my local, but we were all in there that night, and everybody else, Liverpool fans, Tottenham fans, Chelsea. I mean, the pub was full, and we had a little West Ham zone with fans from every other team in the Premier League, really. A couple of Leeds fans. It was great. It really was a good night. And when that Bowen goal went in, and that bit of commentary is just as iconic as the commentary when
Aguero.
Aguero, and also when what's his name scored the goal at the final game of the Boleyn. What's his name? Winston Reid. That bit of commentary where he says, "Oh, you know, he rose so high, he almost touched the sky," and all that nonsense. I mean, that's quite an iconic bit of commentary. So is the bit where he says, "Oh, you know, he something or other," and he says the long drawn out word "now," doesn't he? When Bowen hits the ball and it goes over the keeper's head. And like when all of that was going up, I just went absolutely nuts. I whipped my shirt off. I was running around the pub. Like everybody else was just like cheering, and it was just a really good atmosphere. And of all the people that came up to me and were like saying, "Oh, congratulations, mate, that's brilliant." It was all the Liverpool fans. None of the Tottenham fans came and spoke to me. None of the Chelsea fans, except for my brother. Yeah, but it was just a fantastic experience and a great feeling of knowing that that was it. And then 8 minutes of added on time. I mean, I was, oh, mate, I think my fingernails were down to my knuckles. You know, it was terrible.
And they
minutes
played
added
an
on.
extra 2 or 3 minutes beyond that as well.
Yeah, I know. It went to 11 minutes in the end, didn't it?
Yeah. Ridiculous.
But
Yeah,
we did
we had a similar sort of thing.
Yeah. Did you go to the Did you go to the parade the following day?
Yes.
I did too.
Yeah, that was
I was there.
Yeah, that was.
In fact, on my channel, there's a little like a video vlog thing of my day going to that. That was actually a great day.
Yeah,
all right, well, yeah, don't we all, mate? You know,
I mean,
every time I'm at a game, you know, like, I'm like that with my camera. And,
I don't have the savvy of knowing how to edit and put things together and put it on the channel. So I've got all these videos, and I don't want to put a couple of 50-second or a minute or two videos and put loads of them on and be able to merge it. Yeah, I don't know.
There's an app. I'll talk to you after we finish recording. There's an app. I'll give you name of an app you can use on your phone. It's really easy to use, and you can just pop all your videos together and create your own little stuff. It's easy. I'll tell you all about it. All right, well, it's been brilliant chatting with you. Kurtis, Ginger Andy Carroll, keep doing what you're doing, mate. Keep supporting the club. Keep supporting the players and the management and everybody else involved. Keep being an iron, mate. That's what it's all about. It's all about being an iron. Take care. No doubt we'll have further chats. And if you want to come onto the channel at any other time, give a view on anything, you're always welcome, buddy. All right.
Oh, nice one. I appreciate that. Thank you very
no
much
worries.
for inviting me on to tell everyone.
Always a pleasure, buddy.
Nice one. Appreciate that.
Excellent. Cheers. Okay. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode.